The $38 billion motorhome market just exploded, and the fallout is spreading fast.
The regulation could make it harder to sell new motorhomes in California.
Dealers across the country are slashing $30,000 to $40,000 off brand new rigs, not to attract buyers, but to survive another month. Banks are pulling loans, lots are overflowing, and manufacturers are drowning in debt they created. Insiders already sold their shares and bailed out. Everyone else, they're watching their motorhome bleed value by the day. Watch till the end, because you can benefit greatly from this. The $38 billion motorhome market has officially hit the wall. Dealers from Indiana to Arizona are cutting between $28,000 and $40,000 off brand new units, not because they want to move inventory, but because they have no choice. Rows of untouched models now sit under fading banners that once promised freedom. At a mid-state dealer in Elkhart, a $129,000 coach was retagged at $101,000 overnight. That markdown sheet spread across industry message boards like wildfire. It is not a sale, it is surrender. The overproduction boom that once made investors cheer is now a debt trap for small dealers, each unit bleeding money by the day. For buyers, this is validation that the crash everyone whispered about has begun. The question is not when the collapse started, it's how the industry created the illusion of endless demand at the first place. The false boom. The roots of today's collapse reach back to the pandemic surge, when cheap credit and stimulus cash convinced manufacturers that the open road craze would last forever. Plants doubled shifts, adding more than 25,000 new units to the pipeline within months. Buyers flooded showrooms chasing the promise of safe travel, and easy loans made even the priciest motorhomes look affordable on paper. But by late 2023, interest rates had doubled, household savings evaporated, and orders began to vanish. Production never slowed. Shipment data from the Recreational Vehicle Industry Association shows factories still pumping out units at near-peak levels, while retail sales fell by almost 30%. The bubble inflated silently until dealers woke up to full lots and no buyers. What looked like record growth was nothing more than borrowed time wrapped in marketing. And when the factories refused to slow down, the pain rolled straight onto the lots of small-town dealers. If you've seen prices tumble in your area or know someone struggling to sell their motorhome, drop your story in the comments. Every real experience helps expose what's happening nationwide. And if this hits home, hit like so more people see it. The lot that wouldn't move. Drive past a local dealership today, and you'll see the fallout firsthand. Acres of shiny motorhomes stretch to the horizon, engines cold, tires collecting dust. Every one of those units is financed through what dealers call floor plan loans, credit lines that charge interest each day a rig sits unsold. On a $100,000 coach, that can mean more than $30 per day. Multiply that by 50 or 60 units, and the cost turns lethal. One dealership owner in northern Indiana admitted his carrying charges now exceed his payroll. He can't discount further without taking a loss, and the bank won't extend the term. Staff hours are cut, bills delayed, and optimism gone. The so-called recovery headlines mean nothing on a lot where every sunrise brings another day of debt. Dealers are trapped between lenders demanding payments and buyers waiting for deeper cuts. Those deeper cuts are already here, but they reveal something even worse hiding in plain sight. The sticker price was never real. The price that wasn't real. For years, the sticker on a motorhome window was treated as gospel. Families walked onto lots, saw the six-figure tag, and believed that was what the market valued. But at dealer auctions this spring, the truth surfaced. Units listed at $100,000 on retail lots were barely fetching $70,000 at wholesale. That $30,000 gap isn't a discount, it's the market correcting itself. Owners who bought last year at full price are now underwater before their first annual service. Trade-in offers arrive 25% lower than their remaining loan balance. Dealers cling to inflated stickers to slow the panic, but auction receipts tell the real story. Depreciation has become vertical. A leaked listing from a Texas auction showed a 2023 model closing at 29% below invoice. The illusion of value has shattered, and the numbers prove it. The numbers don't lie, but the financing tells the real story. The interest clock. Every unsold motorhome is a slow leak of money. Dealers don't buy units outright. They finance them through what's called floor plan lending. It's a credit system where the bank pays the manufacturer and the dealer pays the bank interest until that motorhome sells. In normal times, it's manageable. But now, with lots packed and sales stalled, the interest clock is shredding balance sheets. One dealer's leaked finance statement showed more than $150,000 in interest charges over a single quarter, just for holding inventory. Each coach, sitting in the sun, racks up about $30 a day. Multiply that by 100 units, and you're paying the cost of a new home every few months without selling a thing. Dealers call it death by idle wheels. The math doesn't lie. If the market doesn't move soon, the smaller stores won't survive the summer. But even those still trying to sell face a bigger wall, because the lenders who used to approve buyers are quietly walking away. The bank shuts the door. Buyers aren't saying no, the banks are. 2 years ago, a strong credit score and steady job could land a 10-year loan with a 5% rate. Today, lenders want near-perfect credit and demand double-digit down payments. Average annual percentage rates have jumped from 5.1 to 9.4% in less than 2 years, according to internal lender data reviewed by finance partners. That shift turns a manageable payment into a second mortgage. Dealers report that more than half their applicants are now declined or offered loans that make no sense. The banks have seen the resale collapse and are protecting themselves. To them, a six-figure motorhome is no longer secure collateral. It's a depreciating liability. Buyers walk out frustrated. Dealers lose another sale, and both sides blame the other. In truth, the system broke upstream. When lending dries up, the whole supply chain suffocates. Yet while buyers struggle to qualify, corporate headquarters are still bragging to investors about record sales. And the trick behind those numbers is the cruelest one yet. The paper profit lie. On Wall Street, the motorhome business still looks healthy. Public filings show major manufacturers claiming strong sales and stable revenue. But the secret is in the accounting. When a factory ships units to a dealer, that shipment is recorded as a sale, even if the dealer never sells it to a customer. On paper, everything looks fine. In reality, thousands of rigs sit unsold, financed through dealer loans that count as company income. It's a shell game that inflates revenue and keeps shareholders happy while dealers drown in inventory they can't move. One earnings call in late 2024 included the line "strong quarter driven by shipment momentum," the exact quarter when shipments outpaced retail sales by nearly 30%. Executives know these numbers are temporary illusions, but the system rewards appearances, not truth. The longer the deception lasts, the harder the fall becomes when reality hits. And before that reality hit, the people responsible for the illusion made sure they wouldn't feel the crash at all. The executive exit. While dealers cut staff and buyers fight loan rejections, corporate leaders quietly cashed out. Securities filings show multiple executives selling shares just weeks before earnings warnings went public. One chief financial officer offloaded more than $8 million in stock ahead of a profit revision that wiped 20% off the company's value. Others collected record bonuses tied to shipment volume, the very metric inflating the bubble. Inside sources say some executives used short-term production spikes to trigger payout thresholds, then reduced orders immediately after. To them, the collapse was predictable and profitable. Meanwhile, the workers assembling those units face layoffs, and local dealers shoulder the debt left behind. It's a familiar story. Profits privatized, pain distributed. For small-town America, there's no bailout or golden parachute, just unpaid bills and dark showrooms. The leadership walked away clean. The executives escaped, but small-town America can't. The weekend that died. Owning a motorhome used to mean freedom. Today, it means paying for that freedom every single weekend. Fuel prices that hovered around $2 a gallon in 2020 now push past $4 in many regions, doubling the cost of even short trips. Insurance premiums have climbed nearly 30% since last year, and campground fees that once averaged $35 a night now touch $60 or more. For middle-class families, that math destroys the joy of travel. A single long weekend can run over $1,000 before factoring in food or maintenance. Many owners admit their rigs sit parked most of the season because the cost of moving them has outpaced the reward. The open road that once symbolized escape now feels like another bill cycle. The dream didn't die suddenly. It was priced out one tank, one policy, and one campsite at a time. And while families park their rigs, the factories that built them are falling quiet. When factories go silent. The collapse doesn't just live on dealer lots. It echoes across entire towns that once thrived on the rhythm of production. In Elkhart, Indiana, the beating heart of motorhome manufacturing, production lines that once roared 24 hours a day now sit dark for half the week, the echo of machinery replaced by the hiss of idle air vents. One local paper reported more than 700 layoffs in a single month as companies adjust to changing demand. Each job lost ripples outward like a dropped wrench on a silent factory floor. Cafes that served the morning rush now close early. Their regulars gone. Supply shops that stocked hardware, screws, and trimmed sea shelves gather dust. Even the small trucking outfits that hauled components between plants are parking rigs they can no longer afford to fuel. The human cost is not abstract. It's paychecks disappearing from neighborhoods that built America's rolling identity. When a factory idles, the silence is contagious, spreading from assembly lines to classrooms, from diners to gas stations, from pride to worry. The hum of production has been replaced by a quieter, heavier sound: uncertainty. And in that silence, politicians found a new stage, one filled with microphones but short on solutions. Politics without help. When headlines turned grim, lawmakers rushed to hold hearings. They debated subsidies for manufacturers, tax relief for dealers, and incentives for new buyers. But not one proposal tackled the families already trapped in upside-down loans. In one committee meeting, a senator praised industry resilience while ignoring that a $100,000 motorhome now sells for $70,000 at auction. That's not resilience, that's ruin. Lobbyists pushed for credit guarantees and insurance protections that mostly shield lenders, not consumers. The political script hasn't changed in decades. Photo ops at the plants, promises of recovery, and little follow-through once cameras leave. For working families, every delay deepens the damage. Repossession rates quietly rise, and credit scores collapse with them. Owners who tried to refinance find their vehicles worth less than their debt. Washington calls it a market adjustment. On Main Street, it feels like abandonment disguised as policy. But when the talking stopped, the people closest to the collapse decided to act for themselves. If you want proof-backed updates before the next price drop hits, make sure you're subscribed. The next wave of liquidation is already forming, and those who know early protect their wallets first. Don't miss what's coming. Subscribe now. The line fights back. At the same factories now cutting shifts, workers are refusing to fade quietly. In Elkhart, they've organized meetings at union halls demanding transparency over production quotas and layoffs. Their message is simple. They built the machines that defined freedom, but corporate leadership sold an illusion. Dealers are joining the push, forming local alliances to pressure lenders for fairer terms and longer grace periods on unsold inventory. Protest banners read, "We build America. Stop billing us for it." The mood is proud, not desperate. Families bring children to rallies, turning frustration into community strength. One veteran assembler said, "If they can ship jobs overseas, we can ship truth online." For many, it's less about saving a paycheck and more about reclaiming dignity in an industry that once rewarded hard work. The movement is small, but it's spreading, proof that resilience lives on the factory floor, not the balance sheet. While they fight for survival, the market quietly rewrites its own rules. Survivors versus casualties. The shakeout has begun. Some motorhome brands have accepted the new reality, trimming production lines, reducing models, and focusing on practical rigs instead of luxury monsters. Others are still chasing the old dream, massive Class A units with price tags that scare off buyers before they step on the lot. A recent inventory update from one major manufacturer showed a 35% cut in large unit production and a pivot toward lighter towables under $70,000. Those are moving. Meanwhile, companies refusing to adapt are drowning in unsold stock. Dealers whisper about bankruptcies and silent plant closures. The survivors are listening to the customer, not the investor. They are building smaller, simpler, and smarter machines families can actually afford to use. For the cautious buyer, that's a good sign. The reset isn't about status anymore, it's about sustainability. And as ownership shrinks, a different kind of freedom is taking shape, one that doesn't start with a loan. Rent the road. A growing number of families are discovering a better equation. Rent the lifestyle, not the liability. Rental platforms now let people experience the open road without carrying the weight of a 10-year payment. Listings show mid-size motorhomes going for as low as $150 a night, including insurance and roadside assistance. Subscriptions are appearing too. Programs where customers rotate between models for a flat monthly fee, no long-term commitment, no depreciation. The math is simple. 3 weeks of rental a year often costs less than a single annual loan payment. For older owners tired of upkeep, renting out their rigs has become a side income instead of a loss. The sharing model is giving the industry fresh oxygen, but it's also rewriting what ownership means. The open road still exists. It just belongs to whoever holds the keys that week. And as customers change how they buy, dealers are changing how they survive. Dealers of tomorrow. The dealership of tomorrow looks nothing like the massive asphalt fields of yesterday. Instead of hundreds of idle units baking under the sun, future dealers will run lean, showcasing a handful of models, each available for order-to-build delivery designed around real demand instead of speculation. Customers will browse interactive displays, pick features digitally, leave a small deposit, and wait just a few weeks for custom assembly. This system eliminates guesswork and waste, cutting carrying costs, floor plan interest, and financial risk that once buried small dealers. One veteran dealer in Ohio called it selling from screen instead of stock, a shift that feels more sustainable than the old hustle. Service becomes the new profit center. Maintenance packages, seasonal storage, technology upgrades, and hands-on education for owners who value reliability over flash. Smaller footprints mean lower overhead, fewer layoffs when sales slow, and stronger community ties. Dealers who adapt early are already stabilizing their books, hiring skilled technicians instead of salesmen, and rebuilding trust with local buyers. For the first time in years, the business feels honest again, selling what's needed, not what's pushed, and finally earning loyalty through transparency. But even with new models and smarter dealers, the future still hinges on one simple truth: the monthly payment decides everything. The payment line. Every dream in this market lives or dies by a number: the monthly payment. It doesn't matter how sleek the design is or how green the tech sounds. If the payment doesn't fit a household's budget, the sale dies on the spot. The average buyer now faces interest rates near 9% and insurance premiums up almost a quarter compared to 2 years ago. That means a $100,000 rig easily costs over $1,200 a month before fuel or storage. For many, that math no longer adds up. But for those waiting patiently, opportunity is near. Industry forecasts show another price adjustment coming within 30 days as lenders push dealers to liquidate 2024 stock before next spring. That's when smart buyers strike. When desperation meets timing, the dream isn't gone. It's just cheaper for those who wait. You've seen the proof. Wait 30 days. Watch the next dealer liquidation and keep every dollar they plan to take. The $38 billion motorhome market didn't just stumble, it rewrote the rules overnight. Dealers, lenders, and owners are all trapped in the same storm, but knowledge is still power. Wait 30 days before making your next move. Watch the next liquidation unfold. Protect your money, protect your freedom, and never buy blind again. The smart money's already moving. Make sure you are too. Subscribe and stay ahead before the next wave hits.